Hello and welcome to Shedcast, news and discussion from across the tabletop. Hi, I'm Pete, and this is one of our Fantasy Flight GenCon specials. Now, like many people who couldn't go to GenCon, we've been watching with bated breath as releases and announcements have been made by varying companies. And although there are lots of games that have been released, demoed and tried out at GenCon this year, Fantasy Flight Games seems to have done a bit of a bonanza, released several games, announced them and shown them off all at the same time. It's a real shame I didn't get to go, never been to Gen Con, but I'm trying to set my sights on next year of going. I think that'd be really cool. I think there'll be loads of stuff to look into, loads of stuff to bring you guys. But as it stands, what I've done is I've scoured the Fantasy Flight Games website to bring you some of the interesting things that are on there, some of the new games that they're releasing or re-releasing with new additions, and I wanted to take you through some of those. So what we're going to do is, this part of the video is probably repeated in both episodes, but now we're going to go on to part 2 of our FFG GenCon special. Okay, so in this video we wanted to take you through 3 other games from FFG. Arkham Horror, the card game, Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, and Rune Wars. But before we do that, I just wanted to say, if you want to click down here and subscribe to our channel, that would be awesome. Head over, like, comment and subscribe, check out our other Shedcast videos, and just generally keep up to date with everything we're doing, all our role playing, all our unboxing, all our playthroughs, and me in the shed. What more could you want? Me in the shed. It's brilliant, although it's getting a bit hot in here. Anyway, on with the show. So what we will show you now is, let's have a look, Arkham Horror, the card game. If you want to spend your time with a friend trying not to go insane or get murdered by some giant gribbly creature that lives in the void between the stars, then this is the game for you. And I gotta say, it does sound pretty cool. Now, it's cooperative and it's a card game, but what they've gone for is a very heavily role-playing influenced playstyle. You take on the role of an investigator who's hell-bent on trying to figure out some horrible mystery that's likely to get him eaten by some big creature or driven completely insane from dangerous knowledge that man should never know. But you have ways that you can do this. There's a certain amount of equipment and knowledge that you can carry and store. Let's get some of these pictures up to show you the cards. Lovely artwork as usual with these products. The cards are top quality, the artwork is excellent. Now it says you can investigate clues in various ways, and have a different tactic for different characters. If you've played any of the other Arkham games, you know that the characters are, some are very combat orientated, some are very knowledge and mystical orientated, and then you get some in between. So there'll be a lot of variety of how you could figure things out. But you have to do it before evil progresses through the agenda deck. Not many details on that yet, but it sounds like that will be how the game ends. Either you win by completing it, or the deck runs out and Cthulhu rises and swallows the world, as he's often prone to do. Now, what they're saying though is that this living card game can keep going, and as you're playing, your character, your investigator, can get better, can learn new things, can take things from one step to another. So in essence, have a bit of a role-playing element that allows you to take on a role, gain experience and develop. And there's a series of mysteries in an almost kind of campaign format that allows you and friends to move through. Now, this game can be played 1 or 2 player from this box, and it says you can play 3 or 4 player if you have 2 boxes. I don't know whether that means you can just keep going and have as many players as you want. It's probably maximized at 4, but it looks really interesting. I like the idea of mixing the role-playing elements with the cards. That looks really good, and it's a Cthulhu game, so it's going to be full of flavor, full of theme. It's going to evoke all that kind of terror of finding these horrible dark secrets that no one should know. and facing these big monsters and creatures that you really shouldn't be going anywhere near, because if you have to pull your gun out in Call of Cthulhu, then game's over pretty much. Anyway, so hopefully this will be a really good mix of role-playing and card games, and we'll be able to see when that comes out later on. So that looks pretty cool. Our next game that we wanted to talk to is another Cthulhu game. Now, I played the first edition of this and I loved it. Mansions of Madness. Now, again, with Cthulhu, there's so much evoking of the mood and the themes of the game that they often creep into the realm of role-playing without them. You need to even have that role-playing element built into the rules. Mansions of Madness, though, is one of those games where it's a board game, it's tiles, but the flavour is so strong, and in the first edition the keeper would have a story to take you through. That was so strong that you would just get into the role of your character. And I remember playing Ashcan Pete several times. You can probably guess why I picked Ashcan Pete. And going around strange mansions trying to stop cultists from opening portals and all kinds of things. Again, another one of those games where it's incredibly difficult, and I love that about the Cthulhu Mythos games. It's hard, you know, you are most likely to fail. When you do succeed or have some slim victory along the way, you really revel in it the more. That's something really good about these games. It makes you really appreciate when you win, because most of the time you don't. Now, the difference with second edition, let me bring up the some of the gubbins for you. Here you go. Again, tiles, card decks. You've got, you know, your puzzles and all those kinds of things. You've also got a conversion kit for the first edition. So if you've still got first edition, you can still use all that stuff and bring that in with second edition, because they've got all new creatures, all new investigators, all new tiles, and you can build some big mansions and have some really cool stories. The difference with this edition, though, is that a player no longer takes the role of the keeper. It's truly cooperative now, so all the players are investigators, and the keeper is run by the app. So the companion app allows you to have a much more variety of games, because it will randomize different tile combinations using different stories, and so there'll be possibilities of different tiles coming together for a particular story. It has sound effects, it has music, it has all the extras that you could want for your game to add that extra flavour. I think it's going to be really cool. There's some videos online of people trying it out. We'll see how it goes. I know a lot of people have got their hands on second edition already, because it was actually on release at GenCon. So hopefully we'll start to see some reviews coming in. And I'm actually really interested in getting my hands on this, because Mansions of Madness, the original, that was an awesome game. So that's really cool. And in fact, 2 days ago, they just announced that they are bringing out new sets for the first edition content. So the tiles and the monsters, they're bringing out 2 packs, this one on screen and another which will take the place of first edition tiles and monsters if you don't have them, and also the expansions for the first edition. So this box will cover the core game for first edition, and the other expansion will cover the expansions for first edition. So that's pretty cool. They're bringing out all the stuff, because obviously the app will start to use those resources. People who don't have first edition will want to get their hands on those, so that's cool. So again, another one of these games that's so flavorful, so rich in its theme, that you'll kind of get into the character, you'll start to feel that stress, and the whole game is designed to put you under more pressure. You have a time limit, you've got to get there, you've got to do certain activities. If you don't do them, the game moves on, and you've got to catch up. It's excellent. Let's go on to our last game. So, Rune Wars. Rune Wars is a tabletop war game, miniatures game. They're calling it a miniatures game, but it's pretty much a war game. And it is based in the world of Terranoth, which is the same world as Descent and Runebound and other board games that they have are going on. So it's kind of their fantasy world that they're fleshing out with different games. different types of games, and this is the latest edition where you can take on the role of the Dakan Lords or the Legions of Waikar the Undying. Some cool names in there. Excellent. Let's have a look at these guys. So you get quite a bit in the box. So you get you've got some rank and file troops, and they kind of all fit into these square bases that are larger than kind of typical ones, almost like movement trays, which have jigsaw piece style edges that allow you to slot them together to make bigger units of soldiers, which is nice. It's simple, it's effective. It does give you the edge of your base have a little rippled line, which, you know, if you can ignore that, then that's fine. But it's returning to the old Warhammer style of rank and file troops going up against something like Kings of War, really, nowadays. So you can see on there you've got sort of foot troops, you've got cavalry, you've got some big monsters, there's some skeleton riding a giant worm, and you've got a golem. What I think is quite interesting here is these dials. So something that's come across from their other games, they seem to be learning things from their other systems and putting them together in a different way. So what we can see up the top, if you look up the top over the far side, is the dice. So the dice are much like the Star Wars Edge of the Empire role-playing game. We've got different dice of different types, different colours, and each have different symbols on. So no doubt if you're doing certain actions against certain others, then you roll different dice, which is pretty interesting. It's moving away from your kind of numbers, do a calculation plus or minus this. It's red dice is hard, blue not that I know, we will find out, but there are ways that you can do that without having to have modifiers, which I think helps in simplifying a game, speeding it up, and allowing people to get immersed in the gameplay itself, rather than worrying about, do I have a +1 for this and a -1 for that and a +2 here and a -3 there, blah blah blah. Anyway, back to the dials. These dials are very similar to X-Wing, and also with the Warhammer Conquest game. With these dials you preset what your units are going to do. So one dial indicates the action of the unit, and the other dial is a modifier. So if something is going slightly different in the game, you can bump up their armor, their power, do something different with them, but your action may be I still want to attack, or I want to reposition and bump up my armor because I know these archers are about to hail their arrows on me. So it allows for a bit of flexibility, and I'm assuming, don't know this for a fact, it's going to help with initiative order, and with that whole thing of I'll move my whole army, you move your whole army, which we know Fantasy Flight games don't really work like that. They like to build in different initiative systems. X-Wing's got the pilot skill, etc, etc. So that's really cool. That looks quite exciting. I think we've got another close-up. Yeah, we can see some skeletons. So you can see 4 skeletons with round bases all fitting into the larger movement tray, which has these jigsaw piece edges. And there are a few other cards and abilities. There's going to be cards for each of the creatures. So that's a rune golem there, and you can see the card for the rune golem. He's got quite good defense, etc. And that everything's going to be on cards, and the dice, that'll tell you everything you need to do. I think this could be really interesting. We see how it goes up against Kings of War. Maybe a clever move by FFG now that Games Workshop have moved out of the fantasy rank and file with into the Age of Sigmar skirmish free-for-all. We'll see, and we'll also see if they've managed to beef up their world enough through their other games that people will feel an attachment to these factions. It seems that we've got undead and good guys to begin with. However, they've already said Wave 1 miniatures, so it sounds like their approach to X-Wing is going to come in here. Wave 1 miniatures will be released including musicians and standard bearers, and I wouldn't be surprised if they take a position where they bring out a big box that releases these 2 factions, do some waves of extra miniatures, and then they bring out another big box that maybe goes into other factions. So that could be something to look out for, and maybe a way that they could move forward with this. So anyway, really interesting that that Fantasy Flight Games are trying to update their old games to bring them up to speed with new ways of working. So we've got the app, you know, new systems. They want to kind of invigorate these games and make them better, not just leave them lying around, and actually give you a reason to buy the new version, because sometimes people just re-release games and they're pretty much exactly the same. They're trying out new things with card games. You should go and check out our other video for FFG GenCon 2016. We've had a look at Star Wars Destiny, which is a card and dice game. You should go and have a look at that. And what you can do is head over up here and check out that other video. See some of the other things they're doing. Entry-level games, quick, fast games, and some more complex games. So they're building a breadth of different styles of games with all their IPs. They're trying to beef up their own fantasy world. They're trying to take advantage of the Android world, which you can see in the new Angeles system. They're bringing in external IP like Doom. Go and have a look at that as well. So there's a lot of really cool stuff coming out of Fantasy Flight Games. They make quality games, and that's why we wanted to have a talk to you about some of these products. If you want to check out any of our other Shedcast videos, please just go here or click here to subscribe. And check out our other videos. We've also got actual play, Dungeons and Dragons, unboxings, all kinds of things. As I said, we've just hit 100 subscribers, so we're keen to keep going. So if you want to check out our other videos, that would be great. Please like, comment and subscribe. Check out the other half of this video, which will have the same beginning, but check it out. Other than that, I just want to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the shed.